Good morning. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm your host, Ellie. And boy, happy Friday and happy first full day of fall, they say. And the weather's getting a little bit cooler. Here we go. You guys ready for the deep snow? I hope so. That's what the um, Farmer's Almanac says, that it's going to be lots of deep snow for the north. And good morning to Susan. And so just to start off, oh boy, um, top ice official makes very scary um deposition in front of, I believe it's a hearing that was done in Washington, and he says he has admission about the Biden administration is doing at the border or not doing at the border, and they said only has removed a small fraction of the number of illegal immigrants that previous administrations did. And the top immigration officials acknowledged during the recent deposition. And Florida attorney Ashley Moody pointed to the testimony as evidence that this administration team is intentionally under enforcing federal immigration law in a way that's never been seen. Moody said the evidence gathering during the deposition shows that the administration is flagrantly violating the very federal law they swore to uphold. The official um, executive associate director for enforcement and removal operations, Corey Price, was testifying under oath September 9th as a part of Moody's lawsuit against the administration and Department of Homeland Security and other border authorities. And the the guard basically said that since this administration came into being, ERO is removing less aliens, and he basically said correct. And the director of ICE is currently removing less aliens from the United States than it has in the last decade. I do not believe that the last 10 years' data is available, he said, but it's less than least the last 4 years. It was reported from 2008 through 2016. ICE removed approximately 400,000 illegals and never less than 230,000 per year. However, in 2021, Biden only had deported 55,000. And they said the data from this is most of these should be returned due to they are either wanted or they are criminally wanted, or they are criminals and have committed a crime in the United States before and has now been caught again. They said in 2012, under Obama, ICE removed almost 8 times, no, wait a minute, 7 times the number of aliens than what we are seeing with this administration. And now, not only the removals and bookends declining under this administration, ICE is detaining less aliens than it did during the Trump administration. He says they're moving them into the holding and then just releasing them, which should not be done. And he confirmed that this is what was going on. Bryce confirmed the border authorities had detained only 40% of the illegal immigrants for 2021 than they did in 2019. Um, at every phase of the process, this administration is purposely failing to enforce the law and detain and remove uh, inadmissible immigrants. Career ICE officials warned the administration that their reckless policies would drastically cut enforcement, and not only that, continue to implement them, proving yet again we only have this administration to blame for the border crisis and the surge in American deaths and Mexican fentanyl. Not only that, but the human trafficking. Moody previously tweeted that U.S. Border Patrol, or TES, under oath, or Ortez's testimony followed the same theme and admitted the same things that the guard did. And according to the Florida Attorney General's office, Chief Ortez testified the crisis is making the border less safe for not only all Americans, but even the immigrants alike, and explained that these are criminals and we're putting them in with families. And after the Biden administration denied that they were engaged in catch and release, they're responsible for a historic surge at the border, but they are doing catch and release. And the Biden admission has caused the surge, made border life less safe. Not only that, but all the cities around the border less safe, and is violating the very federal law they swore to uphold. Uh, the Border Patrol agents are working very, very hard to try to keep those criminals, either hold them or make sure that they're put back into the hands of authorities. And now we're being undermined. So you could see what's happening there. Oh boy, this Susan, I tell you what, this isn't right. I tell you. Um, and we see this more and more now. So you know me, I got my friend down there in Tijuana, and I asked her of what was going on, if they were seeing more uh, of these criminals being released, and she said the reason they know that there's criminals is they don't know what's being released or not released, but the thefts and the rapes and muggings. She said not only that, but a lot of these migrants that are criminals are armed. And then I heard this morning this guy that his house and his father's house is right there at the border, and they come all the time, come running up trying to get in their houses. And he said these guys are armed, and some come running up the other day and they couldn't get in his because he kept his door locked. Well, his father hadn't locked his, and they ran right into a 94-year-old's home, and they were armed. And he says this happens all the time because they're looking for money, they're looking for food, they're looking for a change of clothes, something to eat, and they'll run right into people's houses for that. Hold them at gunpoint most of the time, and until they get what they want, and then they just walk away all smugly, this guy said. Um, so, boy, and what's Homeland Security supposed to do? And and to almost verify this, we even have now Homeland Security. Um, My computer is not flipping pages fast enough for me. Homeland Security confirms Venezuela sending violent criminals to the United States. And they have notified that not only Camilla Harris, because she's in charge, but Homeland Security has reportedly verified Venezuelan government is releasing violent criminals now from their prisons and sending them to the United States. And these are people that have life sentences or to be executed. And Venezuela empties prisons and sends their violent criminals now to our southern border. Now, Trump warned us about this several years ago, and he had kept them from doing this until now we have a new president, a new administration, and they are definitely saying that they're being released. And this is exactly what, according to Sarah Carter, she's a Fox News contributor, this is exactly what I have been warned about, she said. We are being exploited by this chaotic, purposeful border policy that's breaking all of laws for the border. And so they're bringing, not only they're bringing drugs, but they're bringing crimes, rapists, killers, and I assume some are good people. But for the most part, if these are the hardened criminals from that part of the prison, they can only be up to no good. The report indicates the Venezuelan government, under the leadership of Nicolas Moros, is purposely freeing inmates, including some convicted of murder, rape, and extortion. Randy Clark, the writer of Breitbart, Peace, a 32-year veteran of Border Patrol, having directed operations 9 Border Patrol stations within Del Rio, Texas, and his byline states. Uh, this source basically that Maduro releasing convicts is reminiscent of similar taken by Cuban dictator Fidel Castro during the Mario boat lift in 1980. The source that identified the Venezuelan conflicts among thousands of illegal migrants is nearly impossible. They are hiding themselves in the crowds. And so when they get to the border, they have no clue. And they stick with families. So it's a better chance of them getting in. So, yeah, uh, I agree with you there, Karen. So, and now, I keep going over this EV stuff. I won't own one. EV owners are sick and tired of allegedly being lied to about these cars. That they're basically, one owner said, I remember in a day, he said, that when you bought a Pinto or one of those Pacers, we called them a piece of junk. And he said, this is what's going on with these EV cars, that the electric car company has been misleading the public regarding the autopilot, the self-driving, different points of the car. See, I'm with this guy, that a lot of these new cars needed to be recalled, but they're not. So it's left to the public to put up with what these EV cars are doing to us. And they filed suit on Wednesday, stating that customers paid thousands of dollars for software, believing it would make their cars fully self-driving. And however, one of them being Tesla, yet to prove anything even remotely approaching fully self-driving car. And if so, it has tremendous issues. And since 2016, these car companies misleading, deceptively marketing is supposed to not only the self-driving technology is not really functionally right or just around the corner, they say, for some of them. And the law firm pointed a video demonstrating it published on Tesla's website in 2016. And the person in the driver's seat is only there for legal reasons. He's not doing anything. The other issues with the cars have been stated over the last few months of all the problems that they're having, even batteries that are blowing up. And it has caused enough deaths and injuries on the national highway that the National Highway Safety and Traffic Administration is now regulating, trying to regulate how many of these cars can be sold, or at least look into the issues of these cars. And they're even advising that there be a stoppage until these cars can be fully investigated. It was also allegedly intended to draw investors and increase sales and avert bankruptcy for these new car makers. But it would be better if they just went back and went about the EV cars much slower and take many years to get these cars right before selling them to the public. So see, yep, now there's lawsuits. They should have recalled them, like I said. I mean, how many problems do these cars have? And now they're saying these self-driving things isn't what it's all cracked up to be. They don't work. And they are some of the causes of the severe turn and acceleration that they're doing. That's part of one of the problems with the cars. So, oh. There's a congressman. Let's see. Let's see if I can find out who this is. Don't say just yet. The Air Force DNI Training is reminiscent of Chinese military. And the Biden administration does know about this. And it's something that's being distorted. It's potentially damaging to U.S. long term ability to keep America and her interests safe, both home and abroad. These changes include pushing the radical progressive ideologies, critical race theory, diversity, and and training to members of our fighting forces, especially at West Point. And it's not really, it shouldn't be a diversity and inclusion training of the United States, and especially the Air Force. But it is. It's including all genders to refrain from saying things like mom and dad, or mentioning your siblings, sisters and brothers. And this slide representation, it's diversity and inclusion. Why we care, what we can do, is the way it's described. And person centered and gender neutral language when describing individuals. And these documents were shared with the media, and no one seemed to matter that this was happening until Mike Waltz, of Republican in Florida, a Green Beret and Afghan war vet, decided to challenge them on this. And the Academy also offers Cadet Wing Diversity and Inclusion program, where graduates are given a purple rope to wear on their left shoulder, symbolizing their position as a diversity representative, not really a cadet. Boy, this isn't right. My dad's probably rolling in his grave over this. So they can advise students on diversity. On August 2021, memos of the Academy that proposed the DNI program said it would create champions of dignity and respect to foster an inclusion climate in the cadet wing. Recommended trainings inclusive leadership, conversation, unconscious bias, and cultural sensitivity is what the memo said. What good is that on the battlefield, folks? They are so wasting times with these cadets. That one got Williams go. You're going to do the red face like Karen does. Yeah, they're ruining. Like I said, William, my dad's probably rolling in his grave over this. You do not need this kind of training to go out to battle. The pilots don't need it. The Air Force don't need it. Um, I could just think of, them doing this in the Army as well, in the Navy. What difference is it going to make for these kids to be pushed into this? They don't want it. And where are they going to use it at in the field? They teach you to work together. They teach you to be a team. They teach you to respect one another anyway. I'm not very happy with this one. And I'm glad I found this morning. And it was all tucked away this morning in a very small article with a very small headline. And I almost passed it up. And I thought, no, I'm going to see what this has to do with, training that was considered like Chinese military. And it sounds like they pulled it straight from the books of China. Okay, oh boy. So the Biden administration, guess what they're doing now? It's bad enough we got Venezuela sending us their prisoners, but Biden administration is releasing all of the terrorists from Gitmo. This is something he signed in, I believe, on Monday, and they're linked to several murders. These are terrorists. These are murderers. And he said he was going to empty out, but then he didn't. He started rebuilding the prison. Well, now there was a thing of him trading prisoners, and it was 1-for-1, I thought. And then they said that according to the reports, the Biden administration has now authorized the release of all of the Gitmo detainees, including Al Qaeda associates, and with links to all the way to bombings in Africa, all the way to those that have committed terroristic acts. And the prisoners, um, basically, this marks the 20 years in operation, they say. And the U.S. governor reviewed panel met with authorized to release. They did release, I'm sorry, 5 men quite a few years ago that had been detained in Guantanamo Bay. 3 of the prisoners were Yemenis, one was Somalian, and one was from Kenya. But it wasn't the ones that supposedly they wanted released. And then they traded a few for Afghanistan, and now they're just going to he has now signed for them to go ahead and for all of them to be released. So this is something new, and they tried to sneak this by us. And not only that, but there's Islamic terrorists who allegedly participated in the planning and execution of terrorist attacks across the globe. And so the Guantanamo Bay threat assessment noted that they admitted that these guys have participated planning execution of terrorist attacks, not only in Africa, but over in Israel and other places in the world. And so they say that this shouldn't be happening, that we should be keeping them in. These are associated, a lot of them, with Al Qaeda in Afghanistan, but also a few ISIS members that have been detained. There's approximately 39 detainees that have been approved to be released. 12 have been charged with war crimes, and only 2 have they convicted. There's also still awaiting trial for quite a few masterminds of 9/11. And of course, their hearing was set quite a few it was set for February, but instead now Biden has agreed just to let all of these prisoners go ahead and be released. So now we've got I'm thinking that these guys are just going to go back over to the Middle East. I doubt if they're going to be coming up through our borders. But this is just shows you that he just released all the terrorists, even 9/11 ones, and the families. The article says the families are trying to stop this, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to. Obama released. Let's see what you said. Obama released for the one deserter he was in office without authorization or notice from Congress. I think that's what Biden did, because it doesn't say any type of congressional approval. It just said he signed them to be released, all of them. He's going to clear it out. But he's building it. So maybe he needed to remodel those cells. I don't know. And that's their way of I don't know. They were supposed to be exchanged, I thought. When I read an article on it, it was a couple months ago. I'm thinking January, February, when it was first brought up. The Air Force must deliver. Yeah. So the thing is I heard this in February, and I didn't think that this administration would let it go, since this was 9/11 terrorists. One of them was. And then with the family putting their foot down and saying no, I thought, I hadn't heard anything on it. And then lo and behold, this morning, they're talking about he's just going to release them all. So, oh boy. A secretive B21 Raider to be unveiled to the public in December. William, did you know about this one? Air Force will unveil the highly classified next generation stealth bomber known as the B21 Raider. And this is as early as the first week of December. The United States Air Force hadn't made a final date yet, but it announced unveiling the event would take place at Northrop's facilities in Palmdale, California. We are still working to nail down the plans and the Air Force acquisition, at, according to Andrew Hunter. And during a discussion with reporters, the Air Force Association Air and Space and Cyber Conference on Tuesday, uh, they said that it has 6 B21 in various stages of final assembly. And the B-21, the most advanced military aircraft ever built. And this is a product of pioneer innovation and technology and technical excellence. And December will be the first time in 34 years Northrop has unveiled a stealth bomber. Now, they did it in 1988, and they had the first public display of the B-2 bomber that flew the following year. And I don't have a way to show you a picture of this, but oh boy. But it's going to be released, and maybe William next Wednesday. Let's see if they're still going to follow through with this, and if so, then I'll pull up some pictures for it. So they've got quite a few ready to go. So we'll end up with a new stealth bomber, and that's good. This is something I've had discussion with many military guys, and that we need to start building more new technology, not only planes and ships and tanks, all of it, that we should have a very long time ago, since a lot of our military equipment is dated. So it'll be good to see this. And maybe we'll get to see him at the next air show. An activist group is suing DeSantis for oh boy, for receiving boy, I have to read this one. Basically, they're claiming that DeSantis received 1.4 million from Soros network, and now, according to DeSantis, he doesn't know anything about this, and it alleges that DeSantis and other officials designed and executed premeditated, fraudulent, and illegal scheme centered on exploiting their own personal, financial, political interests. According to the Open Society, America's received basically 1.4 million between 2016 and 20. With grants coming from 3 Soros nonprofits: Open Society Policy Center, and the Foundation to Promote Open Society. Sounds like the Clintons with theirs. The Clinton Foundation, then it was the Clinton one, then it was William Jefferson Clinton. Yeah, they got like 4 or 5 of them. So the law firm lawsuit for civil rights received $50,000 for Borealis philanthropy in 2019, and the left-wing donor advised the fund acts, and basically they're pointing the finger at DeSantis and his office. Meanwhile, it says 50 Venezuelan migrants voluntarily signed forms agreeing to be flown. Well, now the lawsuit is legally flawed. And so now Soros is now giving the money for them to go against DeSantis and charge him. And not only that, maybe even DeSantis' office cited the form as evidence that the migrants weren't misled. And they also deny receiving any type of funding from Soros. They call this lies and smears, and they're just trying to find the next thing to go after DeSantis for. So that's what I could see. This is political, all political. And I doubt, if anything, Soros paid gave it to one of the cities that had a Democrat mayor, or judges, and they went to pay it off or paid them. And now they're saying, oh, wait a minute, look what DeSantis did. Because DeSantis said there's no funding in his accounts. Yeah, he needs to be rounded up and sent back to Hungary and let Hungary punish him for what he did to their country. Or that's his own country, actually. All right, so they're going to blame DeSantis for all this. Now, they keep talking about Trump and these classified documents. Well, they found a letter that reveals Obama Foundation has been keeping classified documents in an abandoned furniture warehouse that he shouldn't have. And according to what the Obama Foundation has said, that they planned on releasing them back to the National Archives, these records. And the Obama Foundation agreed to transfer $300,000 to the National Archive, which never happened. But also the move of classified and unclassified Obama presidential records and artifacts from Hoffman Estates. And the facilities that confirmed the agency's archive of storage. And they said the transfer of $300,000 was already made in 2018. And the transfer will be made within the next 180 days. This was August 9th, 2018. But nothing has been paid, nothing has been negotiated, and he still has digital and museum pieces, also artifacts from the White House. So where's the lawsuit against him? When are they going to go raid his stuff? Just see, no one ever thought about that. And what about that? What about Hillary? I mean, she took all kinds of stuff out of the White House that they had to go get back from her, and they were very nice about it. And what about Bush? I wonder what he took. You just got to wonder of what these presidents have taken home with them after they've left office. But, if they're going to do this to Trump, they ought to at least go back and get Obama for $300,000. I don't know where he got it or how he took it or owed it, but they have been waiting for their stuff since 2018. That's 4 years ago. So, of course, Trump's got to get his backs right now, and Obama hasn't even gotten all of his back. Diesel-powered trucks are now racist, folks, according to California. They say that they are polluting, and they not only are they polluting California, that has a smog problem anyway, but they're racist as well. And CARB stated the state is considering new regulations to ban all the sale of diesel semi-trucks by 2040 and to fight climate change to amend this history of this racist practice. If you own a car, or a big car up to even the diesels, or you're using diesel in your big car, this is considered racist. And it's disproportionately effective low-income minority communities due to racist zoning policies. This is yet another example of Democrats playing the race card. Not only that, they're so what it's doing is it's polluting the part of LA that's already polluted, that was polluted like when I grew up there. I mean, when you go into to LA, there's kind of like a slope that comes down off of I think it's Highway 99, and you look and the skies are black. It's ugly. It's just really, it's a brown, black, gray, and it's been like that since I've been born. So now, and I didn't see it getting any worse, and I had to go and look to see, maybe something of a video that someone had. The skies still look the same, but they're claiming that if you have a diesel and you're carrying goods into California that basically you're a racist pig, it says. Um, Decades of racism and classes practices include redlining and sitting decisions have come under heavy duty vehicle and freight activities in these communities. With the, um, they said they have the commitment to clean up pollution burdens. Now, CARB has a legal and moral obligation to lessen these burdens on the people. And it's also saying Black and Latino communities are almost at harm since the trucks give off significant amount of pollution. And it's only going to hurt the kids, they said. So the proposal would require minimum and heavy duty trucks who enter the ports and rail yards to be fully electric by the year 2035. And as well as state and local government fleets to go fully electric by 2027. So they're giving the feds less time. So, boy, um, so diesel trucks that deliver goods like Amazon is going to be considered racist. I don't know. But I say the smog is smog racist. Then I'm wondering about this. The railroads run by diesel. Yeah, they're going to have to do something about that too. That was something, and not only that, but the ships. The ships are all basically pollutants to Southern California, and of course all the cars. And what happens when we can't replace the cars? And of course they want you to ride a bicycle. So, but the railroads, the trains, everything in California, now they got carried away down in LA because they wouldn't quit increasing the population. And this is when I lived out there for most of my life, it was always that LA had to have a cutoff point of how many people could be in LA because the smog was getting worse there. And they never passed anything. They never decided that how many people should live there. And then it turned to not just the smog, but it turned into water usage because there were so many people in LA that they had to keep putting more and more out of the reserves to send it to LA. And it just got worse and worse. And then now we've seen Las Vegas build up. And so it got bigger and bigger. And so we're looking at a huge population of people that not only increased the smog, but it was made for less water. And this has been addressed since, since the early 80s. They've been fighting with that. And now they're just going to cut them off, I guess. So that's California for you. The food banks are now been trying to get either funding or get this administration to build up their stock once again. They see the inflation reports and it's marking a 40-year high. And last week, food banks across the country have warned that their inventories are being wiped out, and even their backup food is now becoming very bare. And it's due to inflation. Now, Roadrunner Food Bank is feeling the pains of the inflation, just like the rest of the food banks, except they're tasked with feeding thousands of new Mexicans in need. And the prices are growing out of control, along with the number of people who need the food assistance. The cost for the bulk food provided by Roadrunner, such as peanut butter and soup, according to the staff, is increased 120 to 200%. And so now they can't really go soups, they can't really go peanut butter, all this high priced. They said they were giving chickens. They said there might even be a shortage of turkeys for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And they blame this all on the Biden administration, that inflation is so high, and they haven't increased their federal grants that they receive from the government. And so they're just running out with they say the numbers of homeless or those needing the food bank has tripled. And so now they're asking the Biden administration to either increase the federal funding that they do get in the grants, or to find a better way to restock what they've lost. And according to what the administration has told them, is that, they're building back better, and that just give them a few months and to be able to replenish their cupboards. Well, according to the food banks, this was like 6 months ago, and they still haven't increased, and they still haven't uh, replenished their cupboards. And so now they're running very low. And they get this, there's even at least 10 across the country that have closed now because there's no food, and they're not getting any food in it, or able to even purchase the food. And the only thing they could do is just combine with another food bank that was close by. So, and they haven't addressed it now. Um, I called one of the, I believe it wasn't, I think it was New York, um, one of the senators there, and was questioning them on the whole welfare and food stamps. And they said there is an increase that's happening. And I was wrong. I said, well, okay, so when is this increase? When did it go in effect, and how much was it? And he said, well, it could be 900. And I said, could be? What's could be? And he said that a lot of the Democrat states for coming up on taxes is going to get an increase of child care tax credit. And I mentioned that's not an increase in welfare or food stamps. That's just giving somebody more money, and that make under a certain amount. And I said that's not no, that's not increasing welfare. So, and I mentioned the food banks, and who was it that said they just don't care? No, they don't. They were busy. They had to go. They were going to look into it, kind of thing, with the food banks, and that was all she wrote. That was all I got. Um, um, some of the food banks around me have closed. They lie. And I feel bad because they sometimes they depend on even the public to drop off. We have a cereal program here with the schools where parents give cereal boxes to the school, and it's a cereal drive that runs usually Thanksgiving to Christmas. So the fall of America, that's right. Um, uh, North Korea denies sending any arms to Russia. Um, South Korea is pointed the finger at North Korea, saying that basically it hasn't exported any weapons to Russia during the war in Ukraine. It has no plans to do so. But U.S. intelligence reports of weapons of being transferred to the North Korea's that it could tarnish North Korea's image. And Thursday, an unnamed North Korean defense official told the U.S. to stop making reckless remarks and to keep its mouth shut. Whoa, okay. Biden administration officials earlier this month confirmed a classified U.S. intelligence assessment that Russia was in the process of purchasing arms from North Korea, including millions of artillery shells and rockets, as Moscow attempted to ease severe supply shortages. And it was worsened by U.S. led export controls and sanctions. And basically said to the U.S. to mind their own business, that what they do with their missiles and rockets and ammunition is up to um, Kim Jong Un and his administration and his sister, and that basically they need to mind their own business. So, wow, there you go, North Korea, saying they're not giving nothing out. And they lie. So, more than likely that they've given them way more than just rockets and ammunition. I bet they got way more than that. Um, now there is housing allowances. It is going up, but it's only for the troops. And the troops and those service members, including the second year in a row, that they are going to boost the basic allowances for housing for some active duty. And there is only if you belong to 28 military housing areas. One is Vandenberg Air Force Base. California, 29 Palms, California, San Diego, California, Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, Patrick Air Force Base in Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, Volusia County in Florida, um, Fort Myers Beach, Florida, Kings Bay, Brunswick, Georgia, Maui County in Hawaii, Chicago, Illinois, Boston, Massachusetts, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. There's a whole great big list. Quantico, Woodbridge, Virginia. Um, Beaufort, Paris Island, South Carolina. So, and they said, and there's at least maybe 15 more places. So they're going to help the active duty service members for their housing. They're going to start helping them out. Um, they should go up to E5, and they should go up for E5 and below. Um, yeah, I agree with that because a lot of them, the military don't really pay well, folks. Um, and then, of course, they give them free housing and it's not enough. And sometimes they do charge for the housing. Depends on where you're at and what base you're at. So they are going to try to help a little bit, but it's only specific bases. So if you're not part of that base, it don't matter. They're just going to let you slip through the cracks. Um, Butter prices and dairy prices are, they said, watch out because the next 30 days, the prices of butter and dairy products will soar, which will make it hard of those making holiday dinners. The decline in dairy production is contributing to the surge of the butter prices. And not only that, they said the egg prices are also going up. And most important, the ingredients for baking goods has risen 24.6% in the last year for an average price of, um, they say, $4.77 per unit in August. Now, according to them, that's even doubled. So, they're basically the overall grocery prices are going to go up 16% more within the next 30 days, and grocery store prices increased July and August. Now we've gone into September with another surge, and then next month you'll see definitely almost doubled. And they say the milk production has decreased due to cow shortages and labor shortages, among other factors. And although farmers have reported been increasing their herds, they're unable to use them. So, yeah, so here we go. I might have to cut back on the cookies this year. So, not only that, but yeah, I like eggnog, and eggnog was expensive last year for just a quart. They say that the eggnog alone could be almost 15 a quart, and a gallon of milk, whole milk, you're looking at closer to $10 a gallon. So this isn't what we've been wanting to hear. I thought it was getting better. Uh, all right, so um, United Nations, and I don't know if you heard. I believe it was South Korea that kind of mumbled under their breath, "What a jerk," and mentioned the F word with congressional members being effing clowns. Uh, And so, and this wasn't the only ones that were complaining at the UN meeting. They said that quite a few had went up and basically showed dissatisfaction with Biden, and others that are, oops, I guess I don't need this noise. Boy, it really got going. Um, the dog's in here. So the U.S. General Assembly, they basically have the heads of state and they get together. And what they're doing is they say there is a lot of drama on this year on those that have shown up. Everybody was staying away from Biden. Nobody really wanted to talk to him. Uh, and according to some of the reporters, it looked like a lot of them had a distaste for him. Um, as we are looking at these protests, country after country, um, across the globe, I think they're all feeling the heat, and they're looking to him as the cause, and that's what North Korea was. South Korea was even saying is that they're signing these green bills, and they're not. He's not even letting Congress do it, but then Congress is passing their own, and then they're pushing it on the rest of the global leaders. So it sounds like there's going to be fighting amongst the global leaders over this Green New Deal. Nobody wants to be in a country that's failing, and then all of them are failing. And I really do think they depended on Biden to be doing the right thing, and come to find out, and now they're calling him a clown. Um, yeah, slaughter your own cows. Um, So this is very enlightening that not all of these world leaders are siding with Biden administration, or even the World Health Organ, the World Economic Forum. And so even the heads of the UN were saying that there is a lot of problems with food hunger. Now, I don't know if you probably didn't watch it. I don't like watching. I watched a few speeches, but then I had to read up on it more than I do listen to speeches. And they said that world hunger was supposed to be addressed, but then how these leaders think of it is Joe Biden pushed his Ukraine agenda on what everybody should be giving. And then, of course, then when they pushed him on the fact of world hunger, he went ahead and made a donation. Uh, and that's not going to help. And then once he's seen the distaste with the global leaders, he then increased it another 9 billion to give for world hunger. So is this administration admitting they're wrong and they've done people wrong in other countries? It's about time. But I know when I heard that little whisper of the F word with Congress, South Korea just isn't happy with anybody. And I thought Nancy Pelosi had went over there and met with all these guys. Um, so, oh boy. So, the drama is starting, and not everybody is in with this administration on this Green New Deal. Um, so, the other thing is Tropical Depression 9 has formed in the Caribbean Sea, and the forecast to become a hurricane. Not only that, the Fiona is skimmed Bermuda, and it looks like it's heading towards Canada. Um, and then, oh boy, the Indo-Pacific region's become a major focal point for recent times. That's definitely. And China's hostility has been put under lens by many of the strongest voices from the United States. Um, and they're talking about encountering Beijing's growing footprint in Washington and New Delhi. And they have decided to join hands. The two nations are going to co-develop drones, as top Pentagon official says. The aim is to produce drones launched from airplanes. and then India will export them to mutual partners. And Southeast Asia are being seen as target marks for both allies have their own reasonings. And India wants to basically have its own arsenal with modern weaponry, and the U.S. wants to secure Indo-Pacific region. So the latest is to conclude is the withdrawn spent again that New Delhi are considering to co-produce more defensive projects. However, the details are still in the works. And they said that Washington have had their share of ups and downs, but recent times issues, China have brought the two together, India and the U.S., and they saw as one of their high points, um, uh, or compared to when Donald Trump was in the Oval Office. So um, now they're going to be shipping drones. Um, they had, I know they were sharing a lot of military and a lot of rockets, and then now they're starting to, and tanks, and then now it's getting to where they're loading a lot of these countries that are under threat. They're giving them drones. So, um, so folks, that's it. I got done early today, but I'll be back this evening with corruption files. And if you guys have any questions, real good, if you guys have any real good questions or any questions, throw them in the chat really quick. Now, I do want to say, lastly, that this thing with this top ICE official, this is a good thing because he was questioned for a very long time and really got in depth of what was going on with ICE and the border. And now he's not the only one that's come forward and claimed that they are they're just letting everybody walk through at this point. And this is going to help help the Republicans when we finally go after them to shut the border down, that we've got the proof that they were. This will, according to what the documents are saying, this proves that they have an open border. It was never shut. And because of the agents coming forward as whistleblowers. But not only that, but top officials like ICE and Border Patrol are coming along and also giving the same account. That at one account was, and I know you guys heard this on the news, that they wanted to keep the gates closed that could possibly let them in, and then they had the local police department come in and just open the gates up and let everybody in under order of the governor, or they say the governor. When they looked into it, it wasn't. It was just local. It was local politicians that's been working with the Biden administration have made them open the gates. So, all right, So, Susan, how is your mom? Does she do well? We had prayers for her yesterday, and so hopefully Susan's mom is doing well today. Please subscribe and hit the like and the bell. Hit the share it. Hit the share button. And over in Facebook, it's hit the follow and the like button and share. And we will see everyone tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, for Corruption Files. And so we'll see you then. If not, tomorrow will be Trivia. I think that's one of the most popular shows we have. So with that, you guys have a wonderful Friday. Enjoy the first full day of fall. Enjoy the cooler weather. Time to have our doors open with the screen doors. All right, folks. You take care and God bless.